Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. Going to bring you guys a game between Quantic and Mouz. These two teams going up into the semi-final round, deciding who's going to be going up against Alliance in the first and second grand final decider, and who is going to be going up against Fnatic in the third and fourth. So, interesting match ahead of us here. We've already seen some very unique drafting strategies coming out. Fucking Mad is in the drafter's seat. Godblack, however, is one known to give a lot of really cool strategies on top of that. Either way, going at it right now, we do see that the Lone Druid and the Nature's Prophet have been banned out by Quantic, and in turn, the Wisp has been banned out by Mouz, and very likely the Treant, as that seems to very rarely slip on through the bans, and with Quantic having the first pick, I think they're very ready for it, since they're practically the one that brought it into the meta in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, Mouse banning out the Wisp, they do it all the time. It's pretty much their go-to first ban. They really hate playing against it. And speaking of Godblack, I mean, seeing his bans and stuff tonight, I mean, he's been all over the show. To be honest, I think a lot of art style has rubbed off on him, the Mad General, but we'll see what he's got up his sleeve this time. Obviously, it's funny, not funny, freaking fucking Mad banning, but, as you said, he's probably right there yelling, ban this, pick that. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve. But Mouse Sports, will they ban the Nakes first, or will they going to leave it out? And of course, the other big, annoying hero that Quantic love to run, although more as a support role, is that Nagasaren. Do they want to get a respect ban out there straight away so they don't have to deal with it? And the way that Quantic put it to work, and it will be the I mean, this is another hero that Quantic really put up against their opponents quite frequently, is the OD, and another hero who's really painful and powerful. That OD, very ban worthy, I think, in this current metagame.
So, interesting to see it come on through. Gyrocopter was banned out last time Mouz was playing, and now they're picking it up for themselves in this second picking, well, first phase for them, but second round of picks. And so Treant Protector was their first, Gyrocopter their second. They are really secure in making sure that their heroes can remain survivable, but also put out a lot of damage and have a large presence. I mean, these are two heroes that are going to be nerfed in the impending 6.78C patch, so it's definitely trying to get the lid out a little bit and use them while they still have the opportunity to do so. And
I honestly don't know if Gyrocopter's nerf really counts as a nerf. It was literally 15 units of attack
15?
range.
Okay. Well, I mean, I knew it was really short
so
already,
small.
but that is pretty
it's gone from like
minimalistic.
375 to like 360, 350. It's really... I mean, considering he does most of his harassment through flat cannon, which is 1,000 regardless, I don't think it's a big deal. And he generally speaking ends up in a defensive tri-lane when teams run him. I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Not so much, nearly not just Tree anyway. Tree was a big change.
Definitely. I don't know. Ice Frog is kind of... he's always been on the minor nerf aspect, but that does seem rather minimalistic. I mean, what's next? Taking away 0.1 armor from Doombringer or something? I don't know. It's just...
Yeah.
There you go. We're seeing them combine together, Treant and Gyrocopter. I mean, setting it up, going for the overgrowth will guarantee that Gyrocopter gets at least one good call-down missile off, as well as some great flat cannon barrages. But answering back, Quantic have some great team fight and great pick-off potential. The Bat Rider, of course, being one of the best heroes to just single somebody out and pull them out of position, along with that Darkseer having some positioning control of his own with that vacuum, and then follow through with the Wall of Replica. So, a great combo of heroes to pick up from both sides. But now I'm not sure exactly where Quantic go from here. They obviously have to build out their tri-lane, but they haven't really even gotten it started yet. So that's why we're seeing carry bans come on through. And although the Quantic will have plenty of supports to add to their arsenal, it looks like there are going to be less options as far as providing a hardcore carry. But we may see, well, I guess we can't see the Pugna if the OD is banned, but interesting drafting nonetheless.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pugna, I guess they could try and just run him with mass arcane boots and just spam. Less so about the lifesteal and more about the mass just blasting away with the Nether Blast non-stop, just for the push into the farm. But yeah, I don't think he'd come through either. But that said, I almost think Mouse Sports might try and run a solo Gyrocopter in the safe lane, just because Treant. I mean, if you can have Treant there, it's really hard to go 1v1 with Gyrocopter and try and get aggressive on him if you've got. Because early on, Rocket Barrage does so much damage, it's really painful to go 1v1 with them. And then if you factor in the living armor on top of that, suddenly it's just almost impossible. You're not going to win that. So I think that would be a viable choice if they just have Tree just basically sitting there and pull a lot. They throw a jungler in as well, and just unless they have an aggressive tri-lane thrown against them, they don't really have to worry that much about Gyrocopter being pressured out of the lane.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have a lot of control and playing very, very aggressively, but I think Quantic are going to be... The fact that they have the pick of the litter as far as supports go with the next couple of pick phase, I think that it's going to be difficult to really, really prevent core item pickups, like Batrider picking up the Blink Dagger, Darkseer picking up his first core defensive item. I mean, in general, Quantic's going to be able to branch out into the mid-game very effectively. Whether or not the lanes go perfectly, I don't think is really their biggest concern, because they're building out for bigger and better things when it comes down to the mid-game. And they're going to go for initiation, they're going to go for setting it up so that as long as they get some damage output, they can easily take fight after fight after fight. And you were kind of mentioning Treant's other abilities beyond just a sustain of living armor. They're so-so. I mean, Leech Seed provides some damage, some healing. Overgrowth provides some disarm and some immobility, but it's not the end of the world, and I think that Quantic certainly has the tools to deal with it.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it, Treant Protector, when was the last time you saw Nature's Guise? Like, Nature's Guise gets left so late because it's so crap. People, like, Treant might skill a little bit later. Well, maybe I can try and initiate with this, but generally speaking, it just doesn't do crap. It's such a crappy spell that, like, sometimes we just see Treants just completely ignore it altogether the entire game. I mean, Leech Seed is, it's alright, but when was the last time, we heard ourselves shouting about Leech Seed in the middle of a fight? I mean, it's completely overlooked all the time. And then it's pretty much that. It's Overgrowth, and it's Living Armor during the early phase, and then Overgrowth during the late game. But that's it. Overgrowth is a really shitty Ravage. So if Living Armor gets nerfed, and it's a big nerf, I honestly can't really see huge justifications to Treant when you've got other stuff like Tidehunter. I think it's just a better option all around for that if you just want the big ult, because Living Armor is going to take, you've got to get him leveled up. And then we've seen in several games where he has if you draft Tree, suddenly you've left yourself, especially if you get him early on, you leave yourself with this wide open weakness of, well, if they get an aggressive tri lane, we can't do shit against it because we've got Tree who doesn't do anything except look stupid.
It's a little harsh, but at the same time...
It's literally it. He's got this goofy... Look at his goofy grid. He sits there with his goofy grid in his face, tries to heal, and then maybe punches somebody once or twice. It's literally his contribution.
I don't know. I definitely give him a lot of value in keeping people alive, and that's something that can really, really benefit from when they have a Gyro and a Rubik, because Rubik has low base armor and low strength starting off, and along with that Gyrocopter, wants to be in the thick of things, just making sure that he can get his flat cannon shots off on everybody possible, and I really think Treant enables him to do that. With all of his defensive abilities, it's going to work well, and we've already seen Weaver with that Living Armor is just a force to be reckoned with. Survives through just about everything and is very, very difficult to deal with. And this time around, they don't really have great lockdown mechanics. I mean, Leshrak's stun is very, very important, but you have to have the setup for it, so they're going to have to go for a Bane or something because of Shadow Demon's out as well as the Rubik. I don't know. It's just like the Batrider, of course, will be the best hero to take him out, but that means you're diverting the lasso away from the Gyrocopter, and then when Weaver picks up a Lincoln's, it's going to be difficult to actually surprise him with that ultimate. So in general, Quantic going to have to go for a much more effective lockdown, but as of right now, I think that Treant has all the opportunity in the world to make his mark on the map, to say, okay, you will live, my towers will live, my heroes will live, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nice pickup by the Enigma, though. It's something that we don't see very often, but in conjunction with a Darkseer and Leshrak, this is just AoE Wombo combo written all over.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's fine, but I think come later, you'll find a lot, like, why be defensive when you can be aggressive? You have the kill potential then as well. I mean, if you cover someone with a big stun, I think it's just a lot more efficient than it's going to be a lot more efficient than Living Armor in the early phase. But that's another discussion for another day. But yes, Enigma being picked up. The question is, where is he going to? I think in this case, it could. Oh, it really depends where they're going to throw this. I mean, all these heroes are really flexible, with the exception of Leshrak, Darkseer, Batrider. It really depends whether or not they're going to offlane. Who's going to offlane? I mean, even Enigma can be offlaned or solo emitted. It works just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, Leshrak being picked up, I mean, they could even justify throwing in some. I mean, Leshrak and Chaos Knight, it's a fairly the common combo as well, because CK can do a fair amount of damage early on, can do some annoying things, and of course his ult allows him to get out of stuff. I'm pretty sure his ult allows him to get out of stuff like Overgrowth as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he can dispel things like that, with no problem at all, really.
And yeah, they're really tough. There's a laning phase as well. I mean, you set up with a Chaos Bolt and Reality Rift, and suddenly you're just basically smashing people left, right, and center.
Yeah, so that could be good. But right now, Mouse Sports are going to be putting out a lot of difficulties. They're going to run the Gyrocopter. This is kind of a classic Mouse Sports lineup. The old school more so back maybe towards March. Gyrocopter in the mid by Fata. They'll run the Weaver on the off lane, and then they'll have the Anti-Mage as the primary farmer, or in the solo lane. I guess they could go for an aggressive try, technically. But anyways, Anti-Mage, Rubik, and Treant together, but they'll probably be just sitting down safe lane bottom. Either way, Quantic are spreading their experience-reliant heroes across so that they really want to get out of the laning phase quickly. They want to just say, okay, well, you'll survive in the off lane, okay, you'll be in the mid effectively. But they do actually go for that CK. I like that pickup. Gives them a lot of lockdown. It's hard to dodge the Chaos Bolt because it is pretty quick, but it is possible, of course. Either way, I think in this position here, they're going to have their lanes a lot better off. Leshrac and Chaos Knight are going to be dual laning together for sure, and then it's just up to Quantic to decide where they're going to be putting everybody else. My guess is Darkseer on the off lane, Batrider either on the mid, or if they want a dual mid, then they can run him on the safe lane, and then Enigma in the jungle.
You missed this last week because they did something similar. It was they let their opponents draft the tree, the OD, and it was a hard carry trialing the tree and it was protecting. And then they ran an aggressive trialing against it. In this case, they also had an Enchantress in the jungle. Basically, let them go really full out aggressive, completely crush that lane. It was up against a Naix, a Naix defensive tri lane. They have the same opportunity here. You can run the Enigma in to the enemy jungle, bring the Leshrac up there, bring the Darkseer up there as well, just because the early Iron Shell is really painful. And basically you throw on the Eidolons, have them chase the opposing heroes around, force them away from the tower. It is very, very aggravating. And then, of course, you've got the push power, the Eidolons. You've got the push power from the Edict as well. And you can bust that tower down so fast. And there's just not much you can do about it because, well, you've got the right-click hard carry who has literally nothing to offer. And then on top of that is Tree, who has literally nothing to offer. You have two heroes who do nothing but try and hit you with their fists, and they have crappy range and can't do a whole lot. That said, looking at the items there from Enigma, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
and he's picked up 2 sets of wards and then the clarity, so that's not going to happen. But I mean, that was an option for them. They wanted to do it.
I wouldn't really be sold on that, to be honest. Enigma, it's not Enchantress. It's Enigma. His Malefice got reworked a little bit, so it's stronger at lower ranks, but he's still not going to be able to contribute too much until he's level 4, level 5, and he makes sure that the Eidolons can do a lot of right-click damage. Add on to that the fact that Anti-Mage is going to start off with a poor man's shield, and I really don't think fucking Mad could have done too much. So he's going to be in the jungle, but it's actually going to be, like I was talking about this possibility, and we're going to see aggressive trialing coming out of Mouse Sports. So Weaver coming in, using Shikuchi, he is going to have the living armor consistently, and just going to be able to maneuver and spam out a lot of damage through Shikuchi. As far as Sentry Wards, we do have some on fucking Mad, so he should be able to play some in the lane to help them out, but in general, 3 versus 2, or 2.5 rather, it's going to be difficult for Quantic to feel confident about this top lane.
I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for them. I mean, they won't get the super farm on Chaos Knight, but he doesn't need a super stupid farm early on, because while they're doing this, Enigma's going to be farming strong in the jungle, and they don't have the aggressive heroes to go and then chase him and punish him in that jungle. So he's going to get his early farm. Darkseer is going to get his early farm down the bottom lane. There's not much Black can do to really harass him that heavily against dual ion shells. And, that's also going to impact Black's farm as well, the dual ion shells. So there's always that as well. So if you have the really early farm on Darkseer, the really early farm on Enigma, and then Chaos Knight, he's kind of like the Naix, he gets his armlet at some point. And then, so that's a lot of damage, a lot of lockdown, a lot of utility. And then, you're really relying on that solo mid hero to do extremely well. And that, I think, is a bit of a worrisome thing because, Fata, he's playing a Gyrocopter. It takes a little while to get rolling. He's no Queen of Pain who can completely turn a game around as soon as he hits level 7, level 6. Or, same for a Storm Spirit, can gank like crazy and cause so much positional carnage. He's not that kind of hero.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be, this could be a weakness for them.
Yep. Down on bottom, Black is going pretty man mode up on Rise. Has burned down all his mana so that he cannot spend out any more Ion Shells. This is really good because that means that as soon as this salve comes on through, Black will be able to hold the lane pretty well. It also means that Darkseer can't go for creep skipping, which is rather frustrating for an anti-mage to deal with. So right now he's just going to farm safely under the tower pretty well, and has the point of Mana Break to put some pressure out on Darkseer, which we're actually seeing once again. So Darkseer has a Sage's Mask, but that's actually just going to be regenerating mana faster so that it can be burned more rapidly, and that's going to make it harder and harder for him to actually make this work until he finally acquires a Soul Ring.
Yeah, I think it was a bit questionable. He didn't come into the lane with any clarities. I mean, he knew, he was pretty sure. I mean, he might not have been expecting a solo anti-mage, but I think he was pretty sure he was going to find the anti-mage in the bottom lane, whether it be a tri-lane. Probably more expecting the tri-lane than anything else because the tree was picked. But yeah, I think definitely questionable choice for no sorts of mana regen there. Because, I mean, like you said, as soon as he runs out of the mana, whoops, I can't farm anymore.
Now, interesting match in mid. Fata actually taken 10 full napalm stacks, but able to walk away and drop those off. The thing that's very interesting about this is these are two heroes that have amazing 1v1 potential. Funzi with napalm spam and harassment, it can screw over Fata pretty hard, and with homing missile and barrage, you can actually single out the enemy heroes pretty effectively as well. So we're going to see that take more and more effect from both heroes, but for right now, it seems that through the use of this living armor and now the bottle coming out for Fata, that he is controlling the lane very effectively with this gyro, and although he might not be able to turn things around with a quick ultimate, he is in a good position. Meanwhile on top, a little bit back and forth with stuns, not too much there.
I want to point out that Fata is only just holding his own, and he required both regen pulling at the start of the game. You know, he's opened up with the Wraith Band, so he required regen pulling at the start, plus the living armor. Batrider was controlling him pretty well. I think Batrider's got a little bit too aggressive here. Has had to walk all the way back to base. Actually opts not to bottle Crow, just walks all the way back to base, and will just TP back out. I mean, it's not going to be too much lost time, but yeah, that is definitely a bit of a blow, having to port back, because now he has fallen behind in terms of level. He's going to lose to level 5. Oh, well, he's going to lose the race to level 5, level 6, especially if he goes to go for the 4-minute rune as well.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't start off strong, and that's not to be expected, but Fata now has a bottle and a magic stick heading out towards him, and in that position, it's actually going to be very difficult for Funzi to de-lane him as long as Fata doesn't overextend when he has too many napalm stacks. So, in this position, I actually would say that he feels more and more confident, and we're going to maybe not see a kill, but him continually putting a little bit more poke and prod in the direction of Fata through the use of Flat Cannon when he wants to clear the way for a rune. So, good position for him there. And meanwhile, on top, I mean, Leshrac is using Split Earth to get CS. Like, he is not feeling very confident about actually going for the matchup there.
Well, I mean, there's not really much you can do to try and shut down Weaver, because, I mean, he's got the dust there, but the problem is, if CK goes for the kill, you've got the telekinesis there, they need that third hero. If they want to secure a kill up in this line, they need a third hero, which they can't get. I think the bigger problem is the fact that mid has been won out by the fact that Fata was pulled that extra regen plus living arm, and the bottom lane, as well, was won out because I really feel that Rise made some questionable choices there with his opening items. And the fact that Black, I mean, look at Black, he's 26 and 14. It's not, you know, Black level, super level fast, but at the same time, Rise should be doing a lot better at this point in time. It just comes down to the fact that that mana break is causing so much havoc for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just
he's had his fun. I mean, yeah, his problem is, like, he wants to sort of be farming remotely with the dual iron shells, but he's moving in there with his own iron shell, which isn't working as well as he'd like, and he's just getting hammered and punished for it.
On top
lane.
lane.
There we go, Cowspalt top lane. 2 seconds stun there, but here comes the living armor. There we go, Overgrowth being landed. Not Overgrowth, there we go, Split Earth being landed as well, but first blood will come in. Leshrac goes in too deep and gets caught out there, and we see the Edict still causing some burn. But they will get a second kill as well.
They should get a third. Silent, I mean, he only has 5 armor. He does get a nice stun off, but really, what can he do here when Koikwa has this right-click damage, this Shikuchi, and as well as the living armor? Like, he's going to get this kill again, and that is just so much gold going the way of Mouse Sports. Like, they just cleaned that up 100%, and although Batrider might be able to try to do something to Weaver here, he's probably just going to get lifted back up if he goes too far deep. Anyways, Galblack is doing a lot of damage with his Edict, trying to bring down Cinderin. There's going to be a call down, but yeah, the Treant will fall. Fata going to clean up on the Leshrac, though. Nice stun coming out, but the barrage just does too much damage. Lift up on Funzi, but he does have that Firefly turning around onto pause. He should get this kill here. Nice flame break, and easy kill for him. Either way, the end result is 4 for 2 in favor of Mouse Sports, and of course the bottom lane still going the way of Black, so they are actually controlling this entire map very, very effectively.
Yeah, I think this is a bad sign for Quantic indeed. I find it questionable. Like, they really shouldn't have tried to dive that fight into the creep wave. Unfortunately, doing that, I mean, that split up too much the edict damage, didn't really get stuck in that easily. And we've got to keep in mind that Counterspot had a speed nerf, so it is a little bit harder for them to get the, well, basically, to get the instantaneous stun down. It's giving them a bit of time to react and pull back and get to a safer position. I feel like they should just be waiting, get the farm up, because, I mean, Enigma really wants to, if he'd waited, like, what, you know, half a minute, he'd have levels, like, you know, a full minute, he'd have level 6 now, and he would have come out with a black hole, and that would have been a completely different fight there. I don't think there was really any reason to charge out there and try and get that fight happening just then and there. They weren't in a, you know, a superior position, though. They hadn't, Mousebots hadn't extremely overextended or anything, and they just didn't have half their spells ready to go.
Yeah. So finding out, fucking mad here. He does have his black hole available, wants to use it, but unfortunately telekinesis is back. Here's Funzy though, bringing in Quoiqua. They do get the dust as well. The Split Earth lands. Will this living armor be enough? They even pop off the black hole, but he gets knocked out with the flame break. He's getting taken down from the edict. He's getting right click down. It's not going to be enough though. He Shikuchi's away and lives with 18 HP. The dust not going to be enough to bring him down. He TP's out of there, and my goodness. What an unfortunate combo of Flame Break and Black Hole.
What? Why Flame Break? Why Flame Break? You know it does that. There was no reason to flame. You must have known Enigma was going to Black Hole him. There was no reason whatsoever to Flame Break him. I think right now Quantic are just on tilt. Things are going wrong, and they just haven't really. I mean, they just need to stabilize. That's the problem there. It's just a miscommunication left, right, and center. It's just miscommunication. I think they're just not really playing as well as they should be right now.
Yeah.
To be dead honest.
That's true. Caldown going to come down from the gyrocopter. He's just wasting off his abilities to make sure that Funzy's aggression won't continue. Obviously, he was just popping his Firefly doing some harassment. Probably didn't expect to get a kill without the lasso, but he did actually get a lot of Fata's mana out of it, and since he doesn't have a bottle for the rune down here, he's actually not going to be able to reclaim that very actively. But as far as how the lanes are working themselves out right now, we actually see Telekinesis up on top. Silent going to take a lot of damage here. Actually should die. Like, they have just so much on him. They just need the Leech Seed to connect. But no body blocks coming out from Quoiqua means Silent and his high base movement speed will actually be able to just walk on out of there. So, is able to survive, and from there they do just force him back a little bit further. He is...
I mean, it's the big problem. Like, Mouse over Leech Seed, the big problem with it, I mean, this is one of the biggest issues with the spell. Look at this range. It's disgustingly bad.
Yeah, definitely.
It's sort of small.
Could buff it there, but, you know, of course, he's currently considered the most OP thing on the planet, so why would you buff him? But, no, they could rework things a little bit. Living Armor a little bit tapered down, Leech Seed a little bit up, and that could definitely give him some more potential to actually set things up. But, at least for the moment, they're perfectly happy to just... Mousesports is perfectly happy to at least force Chaos Knight off the lane, and now try to put some pressure down on Black. We see Quantic coming on and getting a 3-second stun on the Anti-Mage. They do have the lasso, they pop it off, and they should be able to get this kill. Fata gonna try to clean it up. Black is gonna drop, and now Rise will fall against Fata, dropping the rank 3 barrage, getting a double kill off against his Batrider Nemesis, and he will watch the missile chase the fleeing heroes back to base. From there, Fata getting a good gank off, getting some nice kills, but they did at least momentarily stop Black from farming.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, Mousesports, really good rotation. Like, this is 2 lanes in a row, really, really good rotations. First was a good rotation top. Gyrocopter showed up there, got a couple of kills, and they rotated the supports up there, got some kills up there, and then down in the bottom lane. Again, rotate again, pick up the kills, really, really good work from them. You know what I'm surprised who didn't get a nerf in the next patch? OD. OD's untouched.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's just kind of coming into his own, in my opinion. Like, there's some hero players who use him so well, some that can't. But right now we do see Cinderin. He doesn't have Nature's God, so he's just going to get dropped down. They used an... Was that a long duration... I think that might have been a surge with his TP. Like, he surged him right when the TP was about to end, and Batroar was able to close him with his Firefly rapidly. If that's the case, that's really cool. But either way, they do actually get a kill off on the Treant, and that will delay his level 6. So, putting some pressure out up on the top. They shouldn't be able to bring down the Weaver, even though I don't think he has time-lapse. No, he did not skill his time-lapse. Going to take a lot of damage here. Gonna regret it. Oh, wait! Oh, wow, that Flame Break again. But he did finally skill up the time-lapse. Didn't get a chance to use it. He got dropped by Fata, turning things around to kill the last track. Looking for one more right-click, but not going to finish off fucking bad. Instead, gets stunned up and might just fall. Funzy right-clicking him down, but drops to the tower, giving Fata, in the end, a full triple kill, almost an ultra, with fucking Mad limping away on non-fatal HP.
I've got to say, this guy got to be more effective than I really gave him credit for. He's really getting in there with those rocket barrages, and every time he goes for a fight, Fado is just going for the fight, just teleporting, getting stuck in. It's not, I'm going to say it's not as effective as the Queen of Pain, but still, the fact that right now, like a lot of their heroes have to get in close to do the damage. You've got Enigma who needs to get in close to get his black hole off if he wants to get stuck in there. Obviously Chaos Knight's in the thick of things. Darkseer has to get in close as well. Leshrac has to get in close. It's just really allowing him to get these big cooldowns down. Big cooldowns, the Rocket Barrage is working as well. He's not having to worry too much about the standoff difference. Good deny there from Silent on the top lane. Gets a stun down and then sneaks in the deny. However, actually no, he should be fine. It's just Tree up there.
It's just Tree. Don't worry about it.
It's just true. I mean, they need Rubik up there to get the kill. If Rubik's up there, then they can secure the kill at the moment. But by itself, Overgrowth isn't going to be enough because they don't have the burst DPS.
We are going to see attempt to force an issue on Anti-Mage down here. He only has 1 point in Spell Shield, so the Iron Shield will actually do quite a bit. I'm curious to see if they're actually willing to commit the Black Hole. They're going to go ahead and surge in the Smoked Up Batrider. He is going to go for the Lasso. The question is whether or not they're going to go for the Black Hole after that. I don't think they actually need it. They have a lot of damage coming on through, and yes, they do get the kill before anything is said and done. So, in turn, though, they did lose a couple on the mid lane here. Leshrac overextended. Same with Chaos Knight. Just jumping on in, they didn't even pop off an Overgrowth. It's just a call down the right clicks. Holy crap.
That's just literally it. I was watching that. Like, literally, they ran at him, and Fado's response was, as they walked towards him, just pop cooldown. And they both, because like, they have to get so close to their damage, they got in close and immediately got slammed by cooldown. And it's like, it's level 2, they're not that high level. Level 8 or so, so, you know, it's like a 4 level advantage, just dropped it in their face, and suddenly that's half their health gone. And, you know, Leshrac, you know, Chaos Knight just walked straight into a Rocket Barrage as well. There was literally nothing they could do about it. And this is their problem. Their lineup, like, it's all close combat for them, but they're getting ruined by it. And now the Mass Port's bottom, although Fathom might regret this. They call down once again. This time, though, Enigma does get clear. It's going to do a lot of damage to Funzy, though. The haste rune going to keep him clear. But now Overgrowth is walking into position here. Trees might be able to get something off here. Anti-Mage will pick off the Batrider in the meanwhile, though. And now we've got a Home Mist going to chase Quantic all the way back to base. Or the Anti-Mage drops the Mana Void. And the long-range Flat Cannon will actually pick up the kill, I think.
No, Rubik had an Urn charge on him, Rubik, so that did... I think the Flat Cannon definitely contributed. But in the end, they're just really creaming them. Right now... The kills, obviously speaking for themselves, 14-7, but on very important heroes. 2-2 and 2 on Black, but the Gyrocopter Fata picking up 6, 1, and 5 already has a Black King bar. This is 13.5 minutes in the game, and he has a full BKB. And Treads, and Magic Wand and Wraithband. It's just like he is stacked, and it's just going to get bigger and better. Fata's Gyrocopter, this is something that just set the tone for a whole era of Dota, and now we're seeing it even more so here. Now, they didn't get the top tier 1, unfortunately, but they did take this one away. Black will get the last hit on that and move in just 875 away from that Battle Fury. We are going to see a fight break on out. They go for the lasso, pulling in. Fata trying to bring him down, but oh my gosh, that damage, I'm fucking mad. They get the Split Earth, they get the Edict, but the Overgrowth going to nullify some of the damage, and Fata stays up and kicking. He pops the Magic Wand, doing so much damage he will get dropped, but setting up a couple kills for Black. Very nicely done. Now, Paz is on a killing spree as well, finishing off the Chaos Knight, and that's a 4 for 1. Yes, you got the Gyrocopter, but at what cost?
I want to say that fight there is just a typical... Like, this is the example of how the entire game has gone for Quantic. They try and attack, they make an aggressive move, they get slammed by cooldown. They walk into Gyrocopter, counterattacks, fight done. And, you know, it's cleaned up by an anti-mage. You know, obviously the Overgrowth thrown in for good measure, but the majority of the damage is just a simple Gyrocopter, you know, punching 2 buttons and then winning. And just letting Quantic literally walk headfirst into it. You know, he pops the cooldown, pops the Rocket Barrage, and then Quantic walks into it. That's literally it. And then our Tree, though, probably going to die, but then again, it's Tree, who cares?
Yeah, he spent all his unreliable gold, so he's in a good position.
Yeah.
If you have to die, you know.
I mean, he's working towards... It looks like he's getting the mech. Yep, he's getting the mech for the team.
But Battle Fury up and at him for Black. He's sitting at 106 CS. Oh my gosh, look at Dire CS. Enigma taking 53 jungle creeps. Darkseer taking 44 of his own. Like, Darkseer, the guy who got stomped on all laning phase, is the highest CS next to the jungler. Oh my gosh, Black Hole gonna pop off. It's not actually gonna get a kill. Instead, they're just gonna go back and forth here. Silent gonna get shredded very, very quickly. And yeah, that's 2 kills. Double kill for Black, double kill for Fata. That fight dissolved so quickly, I couldn't even get a chance to see what happened there. Like, they just jumped in and got kills in seconds. Quantic just doesn't have the durability. Now that Mousesports have such an item advantage in their damage output, is pretty ridiculous.
The biggest problem here is, like, 15 minutes in, like 16 minutes in, this is where levels are such a huge deal in the game. Like, because you got the extra skills, like you got the extra skills leveled up, you've got the bigger array of spells, you've got the level 2 ults, and the thing is, they're 12,000 experience ahead. Mouse Sports are 12,000 experience ahead at 16 minutes in. That is crippling for Quantic to be playing against. So right now, that's just updated, 14,000 experience ahead. I mean, Quantic, to be honest, after the first couple of team fights were lost, they should have calmed the hell down. They shouldn't have been pushing like huge fights anymore. Because when you're that far behind in experience, it's really, really difficult to come back. They should have been picking their battles, sniping heroes where they could here and there, but trying to force these big 5v5s is just going so poorly for them. Because, like you said, it's just, they're so far behind in terms of levels. They just don't have that level 2 cooldown. Like, they just cannot handle that level 2 cooldown. They don't have the mobility on Enigma to set up a big blink black hole, or even Batrider. Does Batrider even have his blink yet? No, he does not. Like, they have no way to set up these fights. So they're just literally walking into spells and damage they just don't want to tank. And now they're 15,000 experience and gold behind. What can they do? Nothing but die.
Yeah.
Batter just BKBs and TPs out. What can you do?
Yep. Solo kill on the enemy carry. Very happy for it, and just walks away. Pops off one single BKB charge, and he's on out of there. So, in this position, the only thing looking up for Quantic is they did get a blink up on the Batrider, and Funzy definitely has a lot of potential with that item, but they're just so far behind already. Gonna go in. They get the last off on Cinderin, but if you're picking up a tree and a tree alone, you're not too happy about it. There goes the Overgrowth. No, gets canceled by the Flame Break. They do actually set themselves up nicely. Paw's only going to be able to steal some Eidolons. And it looks like they're just going to bring down some Swarm very, very quickly. But Anti-Mage, they're just calling it. Like, I don't blame them at all in this position here.
Yeah, it's done. I mean, that's what they wanted to wait for, rather than trying to force all those fights. Even if they had to sacrifice some towers, they really did not want to fight those fights. They needed that initiation value from somebody, whether it be the Enigma, although it's a little bit difficult for him, because if he initiated with Black Hole, then you'd have a counter Black Hole out of Rubik, so you'd have to really watch and be ready to counter that immediately. But I mean, they really need that initiation from Batrider more than anything else. I mean, imagine how differently these fights would have gone if it was just literally if the fight when Batrider blinks, lassos Fatter, and then they all just pile on, play stacks on, and destroy Fatter. Suddenly, cooldown's gone, and their biggest threat that they're worried about is Overgrowth, which doesn't do any damage.
Exactly. In this position here, Quantic, they picked 3 initiators, or at least 2 initiators and 1 counter initiator, and then they couldn't get any good fights off. Like, Darkseer with Boots and Soul Ring, who can blame him that he can't survive through what he needs to in order to actually make a good fight off. The lassos were there, but Batrider gets dropped pretty quickly, and as you said, he only just now picked up the blink. So the Batrider, the Darkseer not being relevant enough, and then in the Enigma, only halfway to Mechanism, and only being level 10. It's just kind of them getting stomped all over, and comes down to really, really good movement, good tri-lane activities, and then the 1v1 matchup being so favorable for the Anti-Mage.
Anyway, so we'll be going into the next game fairly shortly then. I think this pushes Quantic in, they have to play off for 3rd and 4th now.
That's exactly it. We're going to see Mouse Sports later on go up against Alliance, but Quantic versus Fnatic is going to be the next game that we get to cover here to decide who is going to take the 3rd place point value, who's going to take the 4th here in the Premier League Season 5 Mjolnir Cup. But should be an interesting matchup. Quantic a little bit bothered by, obviously, their performance in this game here, I'm sure, but they have all the opportunity in the world to bounce back with this next one. So that's going to be it here. Thank you guys so much for tuning on, and we'll be bringing you guys the next game in just a minute.